You know, there is something unusual that happens to certain individuals. They enter a room and sense everything that lies beneath the surface. The subtle tension between two colleagues, the quiet sorrow hidden behind a polite smile, the unspoken fear lingering in a conversation that everyone pretends is light-hearted. People often call this a gift, the ability to perceive what others overlook, to understand the invisible threads that bind human interactions. But what if I told you today that this very ability, this sharp perception, carries dangers that few ever acknowledge? I am not speaking of danger in a physical sense. I am speaking of a deeper, more insidious hazard, the peril of being so aware that the ordinary illusions everyone relies on no longer comfort you. Most people live their lives enveloped in a soft, protective fog, unaware of the undercurrents that swirl around them. They can laugh at a joke they barely understand, nod at stories they've heard countless times, and exchange pleasantries without ever confronting the truths that might disturb them. And there you are, the one who sees everything, the wife who recoils at her husband's tone, the colleague who smiles while feeling invisible, the friend whose anxiety vibrates through the room like an electric charge. Once you notice these things, you cannot unsee them. And here lies the first danger: isolation. Not mere loneliness, not the absence of companions, but a profound estrangement from the shared reality of those around you. You inhabit a different world, speak a language no one else understands, perceive the hidden dramas that everyone else suppresses. And paradoxically, the clearer your insight, the lonelier you become. I once knew a woman, let's call her Emily, who had an extraordinary talent for reading people. She could step into a gathering and immediately discern who was genuine and who was performing, who was in pain and who was merely pretending. Yet, over time, she lost nearly every close relationship. Not because she was cruel or judgmental, but because others could not maintain their protective facades in her presence. The second danger manifests in choice: to speak or remain silent. Speaking brings scrutiny, psychological attacks, accusations of negativity or dramatization. Staying silent leads to internal conflict, a slow erosion of trust in your own perception. Each ignored observation becomes a fracture within the self, a quiet madness that accumulates unnoticed. I have witnessed situations where a person gently points out troubling patterns in a workplace, only to be met with hostility, defensive aggression disguised as reason. It is the phenomenon of shooting the messenger. People do not like having their comfort disturbed. Truth becomes a threat, and threats must be neutralized. The third hazard is emotional absorption. When you sense the unspoken feelings of everyone around you, when your awareness is continuously attuned to the hidden realities, you begin to confuse your own emotions with those of others. You may enter a room feeling calm and leave overwhelmed by sadness, anger, or anxiety you did not originate. Over time, this constant intake erodes the boundaries of self, leaving you unsure which feelings, thoughts, and impulses are truly yours. It is exhausting, disorienting, and can lead to a profound sense of disappearance, a fading of personal identity. Yet there is hope. The danger exists only when you remain unaware of your own perceptive powers. When you understand that your clarity is not a flaw but a unique form of awareness, everything changes. You do not need to intervene in every hidden conflict, correct every dysfunction, or rescue those trapped in unconscious patterns. The real peril is not seeing, but believing that seeing obliges you to act. Imagine standing by a muddy river. You notice the water is turbid while everyone else passes without concern. You can attempt to clean it with your hands, exhausting yourself in futility, or you can observe, understanding the conditions for clarity will eventually arise. The river clears in its own time, just as truth and consciousness unfold at their own pace. When you relinquish the compulsion to fix, your perception often becomes sharper. People feel safer around you because you no longer demand that they change or acknowledge the truths you see. There is freedom in this approach, a quiet liberation that comes from witnessing without imposing, understanding without controlling. True clarity allows others to awaken at their own rhythm, without force or pressure, without judgment. The gift of perception transforms from burden to light. Those who suffer most are not the ones who perceive the most. but those who absorb everything without protection, who take responsibility for realities that are not theirs to manage. Those who thrive have learned a delicate balance: to be in the world but not of it, to see deeply without losing themselves, to maintain healthy boundaries that allow empathy without entanglement. The practice begins with solitude, real solitude, psychological as well as physical. Time spent disentangling your own emotions from those of others, reflecting, observing, and distinguishing the self from the environment. Trusting your perception without allowing it to dictate compulsive action. Recognizing suffering, dysfunction, and hidden patterns, yet choosing when and how to engage. Often the wisest action is none at all, holding space and allowing clarity to emerge naturally. People grow when they are ready, consciousness unfolds in its own timing. The true art is to live awake in a world that sleeps, seeing clearly without being consumed, understanding without feeling compelled to intervene, offering presence rather than correction. This is the paradox of perception. The same gift that isolates can also connect, the same awareness that overwhelms can illuminate. Find those who also see, who dwell in the hidden spaces, who perceive more than most. In their company, the danger transforms into beauty. You are not alone. You are not broken. You are awake. And together, without haste, you can hold space for consciousness to awaken like the dawn slowly spilling over a sleeping city. The gift and the curse are inseparable. Yet wisdom allows one to carry perception lightly, offering it as illumination rather than burden. Boundaries, patience, and self-awareness allow you to see deeply without losing yourself, to witness without drowning, to guide without forcing. Awareness becomes a sanctuary, a place where others can awaken in their own time, without fear, without compulsion. And if they never awaken, that is their path. Your responsibility is to remain awake, to see clearly, to carry the gift with understanding, to live fully, eyes wide open, in a world that often chooses blindness. Seeing what others do not see is perilous, exhausting, and isolating. But when embraced with care, it becomes a light that offers understanding, compassion, and presence. To live with clarity is to walk awake among the sleeping, to hold space for truth without being consumed by it, and to recognize that the ultimate power of perception lies not in changing the world, but in remaining fully awake within it.